Hello, hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Happy you're here. You, I'm just going to run off a couple of things that I've already seen online from your experience. You, you work on the music experience at Red Bull. You are the head of design at Lamar. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, yeah, Lamar.
You designed, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Bumble's first app,
That's correct. Yeah. So it was the Android version of Bumble when it came out. Yeah.
and then you also run your own subscription agency.
Yes. And also a few more things that I can tell you during the
Yeah,
podcast. Yeah.
please. What
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
else do you do?
What else to do? So I'm a lover of side projects. So I'm always trying to do new things all the time. So last year I started doing a little bit of kind of like it's like a mushroom based drink. I kind of Yeah, put that on the side and then moved on to cosmetics. So I'm working on a skincare brand right now. It's called Super Skin. It will probably be out by the end of July. Um, so that's yeah, just two more, loads more things to be fair. So I can take the entire podcast like telling you what I do on the as a side project. But yeah, it's something that I really like.
Yeah, this actually what's funny is that I wrote down that like I want to talk to you specifically. Out of all our guests, I wanted to talk to you specifically about side projects.
Amazing. That Yeah, that's incredible.
So this is great, especially finishing them because I have a problem with that.
Yeah,
Pascal and I are trying to do this everythingframer.com thing. It's going kind of well. People
it
are
looks it looks
yeah.
great as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Pascal put a ton of effort into the written guidance and imagery, and I'm just trying to figure out how to like compile it into a really cool, usable website. But thank you for that. For those who are not on the site or haven't checked it out, check it out, everythingframer.com. Anyways, so we can go down the list. I want to first talk about, and this is a topic close to home, being the first in like the launch of a company's product. I guess I don't know your situation with Bumble and how you guys sorted that out, but it must be pretty sweet to say you launched Bumble's first version of the app on using Android. So tell me about that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time ago. It was a studio that I ran with a couple of friends, and I don't know how it happened, but I think it was the era when Dribble was really quite popular. So every post that you used to basically post on Dribble, everything that you used to share with people, you would get hundreds of inquiries. And now, obviously, it has died down. But at that time, every single startup, I mean, seemed to be looking at designers on Dribble. So that was an incredible experience, and we were quite lucky to get, obviously, to work with a lot of companies. So beside Bumble, obviously, I worked with like Porsche and BMW, so kind of like big car manufacturers. But Bumble was an interesting one because they were not that known at that time. Well, they were kind of known because of the history of kind of moving away from Tinder, starting Bumble, be a little bit of a safe place for women, and they had a brand in place, and they also had the iOS app, kind of like V1 or even pre V1, whatever it was, I can't remember, but they asked us to design and port all the designs over to Android, which was quite bizarre because I really never worked on Android. So I'm mostly an Apple guy, so I always work on iOS and I had more experience on iOS. But at that time, for some, I don't know, whatever reason, they asked us to help them with the Android version of the app. And so me and my friends, it was just three of us in the studio, um, worked with them. And the funny thing is, actually, they offered shares for Bumble, and I actually refused the shares. And I said, I said, no, I want money. We were even, quite young, and I needed the money. Well, so yeah, if you look at the valuation now, you feel like, oh, shoot, yeah,
Well, you know
exactly.
what? I, I I've been thinking a little bit about that specifically, looking back and all the choices that I've made, not mistakes,
Mm,
choices I've made, conscious choices, and they seem to really work out in the end because it get you to where you are now.
true.
But you know, if you took the shares, there might have been a chance that the company folded because you specifically took the shares. I don't want to like say that there's a different alternative timeline, Marvel Universe, whatever that kind of crap, but I think that you made the smart choice. I don't think you should feel bad about that.
Thank you.
Don't look backwards, look forwards.
That's very true.
That's freaking awesome. You mentioned you worked for car manufacturers,
Mhm.
you talking about dating apps, you have, you work so you're working for Red Bull. How and also you said that you're also doing a skincare brand and physical products, essentially.
Yeah.
You're doing branding for products and the whole, ecosystem that comes with that. How is it that you can jump from medium to medium or from industry to industry? So honestly, it seems easy, but how do you do that and retain such a high level of design excellence?
Mm. Thank you for the kind words about design excellent. I don't know. I mean, I have a huge imposter syndrome, so I don't really see my work as amazing. So, but I do enjoy jumping from project to project because I think my brain works a little bit that way. So I get tired of working on one thing. And the issue I had in the past as well was when I worked for one company, I would always feel very constrained and claustrophobic because of the type of work that we do. So if you're working for a startup, you're very limited to the type of work that you do. Even though it's fast pacing, there is a lot of stuff that's all very similar. And then you see the interface, and then there are commitment that I don't know, like restrictions from the development team. So you see your app morphing into something that you didn't really imagine, and so it becomes really soul crushing after a while. So to me, from I don't know ages ago, I decided to move away from that and just pretty much work with clients that I really wanted to work with. So be very picky, and I've been fortunate to be in that position to actually be very picky, but also have time to work on side projects because that's the only way that I can experiment, learn new things, and just meet more people that are fascinating to me. So I always, trying to meet people in that specific sector. So, for the skincare product, for example, I met friends who are in that sector that I would have never met if I would just start to design, for example.
That's really cool. That it shows the power of relationships and how those can just carry on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I feel like even just being nice. I worked with a lot of designers, and there were always conflicts because I obviously understand. We have that. We can be really attached to our design work, and so we can be in a way very pedantic about the changes that are made to the designs. And I know, for example, the previous kind of designers that were working in with Red Bull, um, they were not very nice to work with. They were very aggressive in terms of like changes and making updates to their designs. And so there were always conflicts, and it creates that sort of negative environment that you don't want to be in.
I want to ask you more also about the project itself. Like, how do you choose? But I want to ask before that, because we're already on topic. What else do you look for in collaborators? Like, are you looking to be like the sole person that's the creative, and then like they just leave you alone, or are you looking for something specific, like they have these skills that I want to learn from, or is it like something along those lines?
Yeah, so sometimes I look for the company. So if I really like the company, the positioning, and it could be even a small brand that I might have seen online and really want to work with them. But even after that, it's basically, yeah. So the freedom that you get in terms of creativity, looking at the development team. So what sort of designs will be destroyed, basically, like when they start developing the apps. The skill set, and yeah, basically the people running the team itself. And so that's also one of the reasons where I kind of moved away from really early stage startups, just because it can be very fast paced, and the environment can be a little bit stressful for my liking. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm actually in the weeds right now on that.
are you okay?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm very blessed that I found this startup because they're very family oriented, and I found it
Mm,
to be a very strange trait that I didn't realize I wanted in a company. Not because they treat necessarily me like a family, but because they care so much about their own family. They realize how to treat other people and how to manage employees. So although we're only a team of 3 and soon to be a team of a million, right? Um, it it's strangely comforting that at other startups, like you said, you're rushing, trying to get the thing done. They don't really
Yeah.
care, sleep on the floor, and then you have where I'm at now, and they're kind of like, yeah, like it's 4th of July. Why are you working? Get offline. Or like, you know, all these holidays and events, and go take care of what you need to. We're here online, no worries. It's kind of remote first, but we kind of go to WeWork, whatever. So okay, so I want to switch gears to what I said before. How do you like decide this is the project I want to do? Like, you said that you were mentioning, like, what you looked for in the people and the companies, but, like, what about the projects entices you to take them on?
It's if it's something that I really like. So I'll give you a recent example that happened to me. So I was contacted by a startup, UK-based startup, and they all do. I think they're doing really well. I can't remember the name, to be fair, but they're doing an app to help parents look after the kids when they're busy. I don't really know exactly the scope of the app, but the pay was amazing. The team apparently was really good, and they were trying to get me in the company. But it's one of those projects where I don't have kids, so just that would completely discard the idea for me of like being interested in the app itself. So there was, I mean, you can pay as much as you want, but I'm not going to enjoy anyway.
Hmm.
The other thing is, for example, with the music side, I always wanted to play drums. So the first call that I had with the founder of this, so the way the Red Bull, I think a lot of big companies work is they've got these little kind of like mini startups inside. So they fund them and they got the team and all kind of like guiding this vision. And so the head of this team is an amazing musician based in Austria. When I was talking to him, he was like, so what do you like to do? Why do you want to work with a in a music app? Like, do you play instruments? And I said, no, I actually wanted to play guitar since a young age. Sorry, drums since a young age. And little did I know that a week later he sent me an electronic drum kit. So I actually have it here. It's still boxed. I've not managed to unpack it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so it's that kind of thing that I don't know. It just resonates with my hobbies and what I want to do. That really attracts
So
me.
let me get this straight. You work for Porsche. Did they send you a Porsche?
I wish.
Oh, come on.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. Nothing at all. No, I actually got some light bulbs. So the Porsche project was to do with some Wi-Fi, Li-Fi they used to call them, which was like light bulbs that would emit Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah,
And so people would just go by looking at their cars and kind of like getting information about their car. So I got some of those, but no, not a car. I wish I did.
that's really funny. Oh my gosh. So what got you interested in physical stuff? Because I find that designers usually stick to one or the other, branding and print and packaging and the physical experiences. And then there's the side that I'm usually sitting in, which I love, but I also like the ability to like make something physical and like last forever. It's like there, you can hold it
Yeah.
forever. But then they sit in this digital space and they only make digital products, websites, ephemeral things that get taken down by a server, going down, whatever. What makes you interested in the physical side of things versus just staying in your lane in the digital space?
Yeah, I think it's a bit what you said, to be fair. It's that kind of tactile element to the physical design. And also, I've never designed for print, so I don't have much experience. And I wanted to learn, so go through the entire process. And because every time I had to open Illustrator, for example, I would just feel like I want to cry because it's not something that I use every day. So it's like, I actually need to stick to this. I need to understand kind of like the full process and like the bleed and all the kind of things that you need to understand, when working with printers. And also, it's kind of related to something that happened to me in the past. So there was this guy, his name is Rob, and he was an employee of a studio that I ran a few years ago, a company called Fortnite. And then I sold my shares, kind of left there. And this guy started to look for his own side projects while he was working with us, and he launched a paint company called Coat. And so when I left that studio and when he started his company, it was really early stage, got like some funding and he could spend it on branding. So he called me and he said, I love your work. Can you design all the tins of paint for me or like the brochures, all the kind of stuff? So I actually jumped at the idea because it's something that I'd never done before. I was like, yeah, let's try that. And I really enjoyed it. So like, okay, actually I'm not too bad. I can do that. And that kind of how I started and yeah, stuck with that.
Uh, can I ask why you left that company?
Long story. Disagreements with my co-founder. Yeah, massive disagreement. He wasn't a designer. He came from being a kind of people's person, like manager, and so he would always dismiss the time required to do some work. And he would always kind of like talk down to designers, and I really disliked that. But we grew the company to 30 people, so it got to a stage where it became really stressful because I had to do design work and then look after the people and then do like basically everything. So yeah, that became really stressful.
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a similar experience.
it's terrible. I don't know. I actually appreciate how some people can get companies going when there's two or three of them as co-founders because it's really tough. And I feel like my mistake at that time was I didn't know this guy that well. We met online. I never met him in person. Never. We weren't friends. And I think that's one big mistake. If I have to repeat that, I really want to run a company with someone that I know really well, and I've had meals together, met the family, all the kind of stuff. Because that's a big difference. Like you understand how the person thinks even before you start anything.
Do you think that you have to agree with them on specifics that are closer to your heart, or do you think that it's okay to still get along with them even though you have like strong disagreements?
It depends what disagreements. Like if they could get really personal, and I think that's where the problem started for us because there were things that became really personal for no reason, like really petty disagreements and kind of touching family and things like that. That wasn't really not necessary. But I can understand. Obviously, there are going to be problems even with your friends. You know, you can have arguments, and you can talk about that. I'm quite an open person, so I talk to you directly, then talk behind your back. You know, if I don't agree with something, I will tell you, and then we can discuss about that stuff. I will never hold a grudge against you because I rather again kind of talk it to with you and kind of never happened with him. And there was always these arguments and then grudges. We wouldn't speak for days just because of his personality as well. So yeah, that wasn't where I wanted to go, and it caused me a lot of stress. Yeah,
What non-negotiables would you now put forth if you were to go into a business with somebody else?
yeah, that's a good question. Never really thought about that because it was a period where he really taught me obviously a lot of things, but it also made me very aware of partnerships in general, just because we actually had to go through the legal route. So we couldn't agree together. So we had to get lawyers involved. So it was really expensive as well. But to me, obviously, the main thing would be knowing your potential partner. Because at the end of the day, it's a little bit like a marriage. You know, you spend probably more time in your business than with your partner. So you need to have that understanding, the little nuances of the relationship that you have. Um, Kind of like, do you really know them that well? Do they, I don't know, like share things with you, or do they always kind of seem a little bit off and maybe hide a few things? So things that I discovered afterwards, they also had other businesses they would run at the same time, but it was really smart by not showing that while we were working together. So there's all those little kind of things that you maybe don't really get or you maybe dismiss because you're thinking like, am I paranoid? Like, am I thinking always the negative side, or is it really like that? And it actually turned out to be real. Like he had all the things going on, and the design business was just another venue for him to make money and kind of like go down that route of like burning someone else. Because
Mm.
then it happened after. So he joined another startup, a music startup. They're doing really well now, but when he was there, he nearly burned that company down and he wanted to take it over. Then he moved to another one, and I'm like, this guy is like, yeah, yeah, I can't even.
Toxic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yikes.
there's like kind of tiny things that I can't even put my finger on, but that I kind of learned during that period, and I can't even articulate it really that well, I think.
I
Apart
think you did a
from,
good job
yeah,
articulating it,
thank
so
you.
thank you for that. And I appreciate you being so honest.
Sure.
It's not easy talking about the bad times, especially times that it seems internally like it's a reflection on you. Like, oh, I made this bad choice, and therefore, am I really a good designer? Am I really making, But that's not even the case because it's not really in your control. Sometimes you don't like you have to
Yeah,
learn and you have to fail and you have to learn from your mistakes. So
yeah.
it was a necessary thing, but unfortunately it happens to the best of us. So sorry that it happened.
Thank you.
Again, I can feel your pain. I know exactly what you're feeling. The last big project that I was on lasted 3 years when I was at IBM. It took a year and a half to design and a year and a half to execute and help
Wow.
bring everyone together. So it's kind of like backlogged for, like I said, like 3 years. Um, but it's so hard to imagine another project that's going to last that
3
long.
years?
So I mean,
Yeah.
that's cool. It's also nice because you have like this. Ask actually, do you enjoy projects that last long, or do you enjoy projects that are short?
Mm, I usually enjoy a project that lasts a short amount of time. Yeah, because I like to switch. I'm like,
Yeah.
quick, quick, quick. So, yeah, so I hope I'm gonna enjoy this one just because it's fun and the team are really nice, and we get to meet every 3 months or so,
Oh, that's
uh,
cool. That's cool.
which is cool. I think it keeps things fresh. If I was working from home all the time, I don't know if it would have lasted that long, but yeah.
But you like working as a contractor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't wanna ever be tied down to, like, one thing and then
Hmm. Potentially, I don't know. Depends on the perks. No, I'm joking. It's not the
mm.
perks. It depends on the flexibility and the type of work that I do. If I have like daily stand ups and things like that, I'm just gonna burn out. I don't think I can do that. I think there's a misconception sometimes that people think, you're a freelancer, you can do whatever you want, but we know that that's not the case. Or, there are deadlines, there are meetings, and all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes it is even more challenging because, you get that client that doesn't pay on time, so you have to chase that. Then you have to worry, where is the next payment coming from? All those things that
Mhm.
add the additional stress.
I don't like that.
But absolutely, but then you have the freedom of like working maybe 2 or 3 projects at the same time.
That I
Um,
like.
yeah, exactly. So like, Brett from Design Joy, don't know if you guys familiar with him. Yeah. So that it's a crazy story, and I think, kind of shows that even if you're quite open with that stuff, because in the past I used to be like, oh, I can't say I'm working on this thing because that client might get offended, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's quite open, and nothing really has happened, and it's actually really successful. So yeah, that's also good.
So, let's talk about that real quick. So you have a subscription agency, and it's about $5,000 or I guess, what is
Yeah,
the
I put it
equivalent
in
over there?
dollars now because it's a bit easier. Yeah.
So, uh, that's per client. How many clients do you juggle at once, and
Yes.
does it work?
Yeah, so it worked better in the past. I think it was when Brett started posting about this, and there weren't as many as there are now
Mhm,
because everybody kind of followed that trend.
mhm.
So there is definitely, I know, a list of 10 of them in the same space.
Cool.
Um, and it was working really well. But there is that angle. So I was talking to, I won't name you, I'm sure you know him, but I was talking to him, and this guy, and he runs another very similar kind of like agency model, and he can only cope with a maximum of 8 clients at the same time, which to me is still a lot. Like
That's a lot of clients.
if you work with 3 clients, that is already a lot. Imagine jumping on calls, like 3 calls every single day, and a call lasts you like an hour. So 3 hours of your day are just gone talking to like people. Then you have the mental shift. But what I think a lot of people don't really get is what Brett does. I think is very cookie cutter. So it's really like templated.
Mm.
And a lot of people, even myself, when I launched that, I thought, oh, I'm going to provide all the same services that I do for 3 times the money I'm charging, but for $5,000. And that doesn't work. It takes you a long time. You have to think about new stuff every single time. You have to understand the problem. So, yeah, I think if you are very, very open about what you offer, then it can work okay. And the quality of work, it's okay. It doesn't have to be amazing. And I think Brett tweeted something earlier on today or yesterday. They actually said like designs don't have to be amazing; they have to be just okay, and people are still happy with that. Not everyone is a designer, so we only see that because we are designers. We're very pedantic with that kind of quality level, but the
I think
majority of people that, yeah,
I think it the subscription agency model also evaporates this romantic view about design because it forces it to be a business in a way that we haven't seen a business model do that before. And like you said, it just has to be good enough.
yeah,
And my problem with that is everything's going to become very like meh and not like great because like if everyone's just using their own templates, they better be bomb ass templates for clients because otherwise it's all going to look the same centered title header with the button below it and then the different bento boxes for all the landing pages. Now it probably works out pretty well for the creator who's doing it. You know, I want to have Brett on the podcast too, so if you can help us hook that up, I reach out to
yeah,
him, he didn't
sure,
respond. Um, but you know, I wanted to ask about like your specific amount of clients because you're a really good designer and I know you care so much about the craft. And I can't imagine you copying the exact same template from one app or one website to the other for every client. So is there like any like things that you do differently with that?
yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't have as many clients at all as Brett does. So I'm only
Yeah.
working. I think right now is about 3.5, I'll say, because another client kind of comes and goes.
Mhm.
So I'm really sticking to the small kind of like pool of clients that I get, that come through, and the
Did you
majority
say
of
that
them.
you also raised your rates or you lowered them?
No, I changed from pounds to dollar, but I kind
Okay.
of raised them to make sure that
Cool.
the value was the same.
Cool.
And also, I've never had a client actually go through the entire process of paying beforehand by using Stripe like he does. I've got Stripe linked, but nobody actually went ahead and just paid before talking to me. Um, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is I don't have a portfolio there, so that's obviously I
Mm.
launched that website in one day. Just like I'm just gonna try whatever. So that a lot of people don't see the work behind them. But to me, it's yeah, I don't do the sort of templated system, and I think in the long run, I don't want to do it. I don't think it's going to run forever. It's just probably like a little experiment, see how it goes, make new connections, help a few people out with design, and then probably shut it down. And I don't know, we'll see.
It's probably a really good business model for like I said before, okay work. But if
Yeah,
you really want something to be excellent, you have to give it so much more focus. And that depends on how much you want to give it, right?
that is very true. I was talking to the other person that I mentioned before, and he was saying, he's doing 8 clients, but he has no life whatsoever. So he's working like 12, 13 hours a day, no social life, nothing. But he also has a successful website as well. So I don't know why he's doing that. I mean, just additional money, probably. I don't know. But um, it's yeah, I agree with you, Pascal. I think it's such an extreme way of mm, running a business, or making that level of money where you have to forego everything else in your life.
Okay, so finally, I wanted to get to this other topic that I saw on your Twitter profile. I don't know if it's going to be a big topic or not, but it could be interesting.
Sure.
Micro investments.
Oh wow. Okay. That might. Yeah.
So tell me, you wrote this on your thing as ADA. I don't know what that stands for. Uh,
Oh, the
micro.
Apple Design Awards.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That's cool. We'll talk about that. But
Okay.
micro investments. So, are you investing in like startups or something?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. So it's basically any money that I want to invest or try and I don't know, I want to save. I think obviously putting it in a bank account and leaving it there is not the best solution. So I save it a little bit in S&P 500s, and kind of do that sort of investment. But also, if I have friends that have companies and they're open for investment, or for example, if I can give my time and my skills away in exchange for shares, then I will also do that. So I've done it with a few companies, and one of them it's Coat, the paint company that I mentioned before. Um, and I've helped them with designs and also put a little bit of money in there. They just got more funding, so they valued, I think, is like 19 million pounds or something like that. So they're growing really well, even though there is a lot of competition in that sector. Um, but there's kind of there's I don't have anything really said, but I would love to do a little bit more of that. And if it's not money that I can invest in, it's just my skills. If I can sit and kind of like talk through the early phase of design, and sometimes with some companies I have helped hire people as well, so looked through the portfolios of potential new hires and so on. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
How do you tell them, "I want shares, not money"? How do you have that conversation?
If I know the people, I would just plainly ask for that.
Okay.
Sometimes it's inbound, so they will come to me and say, "Hey, can you help us maybe review these portfolios because we don't know anything about design." Um, but if I know the financial situation at the beginning, I'll probably just say, "Just give me shares in your company, and I will do it for X, amount of time."
So so you have to trust them.
I have to trust them, but and again, it's a risk. Is like investment is a risk, so whatever happens, yeah. And it's also mostly on products that are physical. I don't know, I get this
Mm.
attraction by physical products right now. So anything that is I can see, I can touch. I get requests from a lot of software startups, and there would be, I don't know, some plugins for Figma or something AI, and they just don't really excite me. And I might be looking at this wrong because obviously software, the way that it could grow exponentially, would be a fraction of the time that a physical product would maybe grow. But I still do enjoy seeing the actual end result in a physical item. So that to me is kind of the first type of filter. And then, understanding who the founders are and, their background, their past experience and all that kind of stuff. So there's, yeah.
You're making me wanna get out of software and into
No,
hardware.
don't.
It sounds so much
Don't.
harder though, like, you have to deal with manufacturing, you have to deal with shipping, and there's so many
Yeah,
issues just with that alone, plus the whole COVID thing that stopped up all the boats and stuff.
true.
It's like, you never know. Software is so much easier. You push publish and it's already across the world.
Yes, that's very true. And I might regress in the future. It's just sometimes it's I don't know, maybe you want those challenges, and the tricky thing for me is also because I'm very impatient in general as a person, and is obviously brought in from the fast paced industry that we work in. And as you were saying, software, you push a button and it goes live whenever. So I'm also looking at slowing down a little bit and understanding, can I manage those crazy expectations that I have for being really rushed and like wanting to have something the day after that I think about it. Could I teach my brain to be a little bit more patient in that sense?
Cool, cool. Speaking of teaching,
Yes.
weren't you launching, like, a course on how to build a physical product that I signed up for, and I
You did.
still still
I'll send
haven't
you a
heard back?
I'll send you a refund. Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of linked to the idea of the mushroom powder that I spoke before when we started, but it's kind of morphing into this skincare product, which is a little bit more manageable because it's not an edible product, and there's
Mhm,
a lot of headaches that come with edible kind of like food items.
right.
So it kind of making it a little bit easier to launch something in a short amount of time with less capital invested. So as soon as I get that, hopefully by the end of this month, I've got loads of material ready that I want to publish back and kind of revitalize that course that I mentioned like a year ago. I think it must have been something like that.
I was so excited, like, "Oh my god, this is it. I'm gonna learn the things that I'm gonna launch." I have a bunch of ideas that I wanna launch, and I just need to figure out time and figure out how to dedicate some investment to it. My girlfriend and I have some cool ideas, but what advice would you give somebody, especially someone working in software, to jump into the hardware and try it out?
Yeah, so it really depends on the industry, and because you mentioned hardware, but it
Well,
could be
physical,
hardware
yeah,
physical, yeah. Because I know that some people look at hardware in terms of like electronic
yeah.
goods and stuff like that. That's really difficult. And I worked with it in the past, and it's yeah, it's really really difficult and expensive as well. With other type of goods, yeah, it depends in the industry. So what I would recommend is look at something that could be white labeled. Um, so you don't have to go and like the route that I done was crazy because I hired people to create the formulation for me. So I kind of made it really hard to begin with, even though it's like my first proper physical product, where I should have gone and looked at existing products, formulations, paid the minimum amount of money to just have like a white label product. But then again, in my mind, I was like, okay, I can't have an existing product because a thousand other companies will probably launch the same thing. And so I kind of worked this thing in my mind, probably completely wrong, but we'll see. But yeah, so that would be my first thing. I just have a look online. Could be anything. It could be skincare products. It could be coffee. It could be tea, t-shirts, whatever it might be. Just the easiest path to launch something and to see if there is interest from the public, if you enjoy the process, especially if it's not too expensive to launch, because anything like this could be really expensive. And then to see how the entire thing goes, and maybe don't cancel it straight away. So wait at least, I don't know, 9 to 12 months, see how it goes, and then if it didn't work out, just say, okay, whatever. I spent maybe a year working on this thing. Move on. That's it.
And what advice? I'm gonna ask you one more about advice. What advice would you give to somebody that is trying to be a contractor and do all these crazy fun projects and trying to manage all of it together, especially like when they're doing their own subscription agency? What would you advice would you give to them?
I would say be very specific with your time. And I know there are probably a million videos online in terms of putting everything in your calendar, making sure that you're very organized. I'm not the most organized person in the world, but I do like to. So I keep a little diary with me. So it's frame branded as
Hey,
well.
I'll pull mine. Mine's on the floor over there, but yeah.
Yeah. So I do love it because it's flexible as well, so I can put it in my trousers. But I do keep track, so I'll give you a quick snippet or like the time I spend. So I
So,
try to
so for
do.
those who are not watching and they're
Oh
listening,
yeah, sorry. Yeah,
yeah. So you want to describe what that is?
yeah. So it's just a small diary, and I list every thing that I do during the day. So, for example, I don't know, from 7:30 in the morning till 8, woke up, showered, breakfast, and then, watch some YouTube videos on giving public talks, and then do FaceTime with family and friends. Kind of like I explain everything that I do. So, like a log of my day from when I get up to when I go to sleep. Um, and then at the end of the week, I analyze that time and understand if I spend too much time on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, and see if I could improve that. So to me, I think that sort of time tracking, making sure that everything is logged, plays a big part because you never actually realize the amount of time that you waste during the day just by doing really silly random stuff until you track your time and understand exactly where the time goes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like the right tool to like capture all of it. It always ends
Yeah.
up being Apple Notes, just because it's
Yes.
always with me, and I have terrible handwriting. And like, if you even like looked at this, I hope no one's reading this actually on YouTube, but it's like just scribbles. Like I can read it in my head. I can't actually read it out loud to somebody. I'm like, I think I know what this means. It kind of has a sense to it, but it's so hard to like actually write like that. Like that looks really organized. Mine would just be a big fingerprint smudge like all
Yeah.
over it. So I can't do that. But that's awesome that you can do that. And I hope others who are listening can try that if you have a nice handwriting. I don't have a nice handwriting, so I can't. But capturing it is the key.
Absolutely, and use whatever tools you can. Actually, is I've tried everything available. It just didn't work. I'm doing the same for food as well, so I need to get better understanding calories and in, calories out, all the kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm
Using, like,
using
the MyFitnessPal or something with
MyFitnessPal, exactly. Yeah,
I was
meal.
thinking about even making my own because I just don't like
Seriously,
that one. There's so much crap in it, and it's like
there is
I just wanna see the number. Just give me the number, I'll put the things in per
yeah.
email, that's all I need. That's all I need.
A
But
little tip as well. So I worked on an app called Meal Prep Pro.
oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, so not sponsored or anything. So we just designed the app, but I think it's really cool because it gives you recipes for
Mhm.
the week, and that's where I struggle as well because I don't know
Yeah.
what to eat sometimes. Like, yeah, just put whatever you want to do, like the calories you want to burn, or yeah, the maximum calories you want to eat, and then yeah, it gives you everything you need.
For me, it's hard to, like, even just input it in because like, I don't know where like, if I'm looking at a plate of chicken, plate of rice, I how much is that? Like, how you know what I mean? Like, how do I capture that? And there's, like, an app, I think, in the Y Combinator last batch that, um, they allow you to take a picture of your plate, and it actually
Oh,
figures it out for you.
was it the one with the scales as well that you will put it on the scales and it will like figure it out? Something.
I don't know, I just heard about it in an article, and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, I should try it," and then I just never tried it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
be
well,
amazing.
actually, I learned yesterday that companies can be out of range of their calorie count. They're legally allowed to be out of range up to, like, 20% or something like that.
Oh wow, okay.
So I didn't know that, and now I'm looking at all these recipes, I'm like, "Wait a second. Like, I'm pretty sure these are, like, way more than they're saying it is." That's kind of probably why I'm like, it's
That's
hard to manage,
so you can
but
see, like, for example, you buy a burger could be like 20%
yeah,
of the. Oh wow, okay.
I didn't know that. I mean, it also depends on where, right? I think this is, like, a USA thing only.
Right.
Sorry, listeners. But yeah, no, it's been a big struggle, and I'm like, "What is this crap?" Like, all these people are putting this stuff into the food. I'm trying to, like, just be healthy and not have any problems, but,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much like, I wanna do a lot of, like, design work for, like, medical stuff, and my girlfriend, she does, mental health for kids who are suicidal.
Oh wow.
So, we wanna work on something in that space and hopefully give them some self care that they can like take home and like handle themselves instead of like being with the physician at all times. Um, but it's hard. It's a really difficult thing. But there's so many cool things that you're now inspiring me. It's like, oh, I should just take the bite the bullet and just do it.
Just do it.
So
Just
I
do it.
I
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you more about it because I'm definitely going to be asking you questions about it.
Just
Hopefully
ping me
you'll say,
anytime. And I've got a conference next week,
yeah,
which actually is all about this. So I can't wait to speak to people about the same sort of subject because yeah, I don't know. I just feel like so passionate about this. Um, so yeah, maybe
yeah.
if there is a
When that goes live, send me the link and I'll put it in the show notes.
yeah, definitely will do. I don't know if anybody's recording it.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought it was going to be a small conference, and then I spoke to the organizers. Like, no, actually, people are flying in for the conference. It's going to be like 100 plus people. I'm like, what? I just yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh. So are you nervous?
not as much as I used to. So pre-COVID, I used to do quite a lot of conferences, but every single one was, oh man, there's like butterfly feeling in my tummy and stress and like, yeah, at the last minute when I actually get on stage, I felt like, you know what, I'm just gonna say, I'm sorry, I don't feel well, and just walk out again. It's like, no, no, but I can't do that. So play all these things in my mind until actually I was talking to people there, and it's like, yeah, I feel fine now, but yeah,
I had a
not so much now. I
friend
kind of got better.
I had a friend who went to an AIGA conference, you know what that is?
Oh yes, yeah,
And, he was doing one of the competitions, student competitions where they, like, basically do a branding project, 3 days in a row, and each day they work with, like, this amazing, like, you know, Michael Beirut or Paul
wow.
Scher or whatever, and so they work with them for, like, a couple hours each day, and then they present at the end of each day. And or the next morning or something. And my friend, Kevin, he was about to go on stage. We like just finished talking to John Maeda, and then we like were about to send him off, and he's like, "Oh my god, guys, like this is like too much." And then his girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh well, do you want to sip of my drink?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." And he drank the whole thing, and then went right on stage, and I was like, "Oh my god, this can't be good." But he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. He
So
crushed
you
it.
smashed it. Oh wow, okay,
But it was just, like, very shocking to see that because I get nervous going on stage. He
yeah.
was super nervous, but that's a good trick, I guess, to drink a little bit right beforehand, kinda calms the
That's a good tip.
nerves.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
but
because
I
it
also
kind
might
of
just throw up. So
I know that's maybe if you have too much, then yeah, that would happen.
the last thing that we ask all of our guests on every episode is um, the opposite of what we've been asking the rest of the episode. Basically, the whole episode's about us seeing how you're shaping the design world through the projects and initiatives that you started or engaged with. Now, I'd like to ask you, how has design shaped you?
I love that question. Yeah, I really do. I don't know. I think there's various layers to this question, which makes it really tricky. Because you could look it from a personal level, or you could look it from a professional level. So if I look at the professional level, um, it shaped me in lots of different ways. So from being a lot more mature, engaging with people on social media due to my design work, meeting amazing people like yourself, which otherwise I would have never met if it wouldn't have been for design and social media. Um, from a personal point of view, again, I think is the connections. It's also I'm I think I used to be not as outgoing as I am now. I was kind of a little bit shy as a person. I would never really stick my head out and kind of get involved in events or conversations and whatnot. Where with design, when you start getting a little bit of recognition and people actually saying, like I like your work, you're doing well, you kind of build a little bit of trust, and it kind of helped me get a lot better reaching out and talking to strangers, which I would have never done before either. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. There's, as I said, there's many layers, but yeah, I don't know. I can clarify any points if you want to.
No, that was great. That's awesome. It's so interesting to see everyone's response to that question because we wanted to make something that was signature to the podcast and something that resonated with our listeners as well, obviously. And the name of the podcast is Shaping Design, and how we understand the people that we're bringing on are shaping the industry itself. But rarely do we ever see others ask about like how they've been affected by the industry. And so I really appreciate your answer. Thank you for being so honest and open, and thank you for coming on. We have to have you again, especially when you launch another 7 projects of yours. I definitely want to ask
Yeah,
you so many more questions about the skincare brand, but obviously out of time.
of course.
And I'm definitely going to ask you more questions about starting a physical product thing because I definitely want to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And I was talking to a neighbor of mine, and I'm somehow now the person that this guy thinks they should go and speak to about physical products. He wants to launch like a chewing gum company. I'm like, I've no idea where to start, but yeah, sure. I
that
can
sounds
give you
kind
some
of
advice.
fun.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I like it a lot.
That's cool. Well, wish you the best of luck with everything, and
Thank you
thank
so
you again
much.
for coming on the pod.
No, this was amazing. Thank you so much for having me.